Hello, welcome back to the channel. Movie Reviews, Series 9. Been a while, but we finally got there. So Series 9, heavily based on the Video Nasty genre very much. Well, not really a genre, it's been like a little sub-genre, sub-collection, side of it. I don't know really, but we'll talk about these. And they're worth it. You may know this actually, because I actually did a little tiny. I showed this in the 18 certificate DVD collection. This is Box of the Band. I got this from Preston about a couple of years ago actually. Going from a place called That's Entertainment, which no longer exists apparently. I think due to the rise of internet shopping, it's sadly went actually. I found this in a review section. It was only £5 it was, so it was worth it. This box contains 6 films. On the actual version, it contains 5. So 5 and so forth. So anyway, let's go into these now. So we've got 1 to 6 first, then 7 to 12 in the next video. So we'll begin. Finally. So first up we got is I Spit in Your Grave, directed by Zia Miyazaki, and it's from 1978. I'll read the summary out. So title, then the director, then the year, then I'll do the summary. So that's how we'll go with this one. This whole little introduction of the films. Okay, reviled and revered by feminists and critics alike, Zachi's movie begins with brutal and protracted scenes of violation and humiliation. In the aftermath, victim Jennifer Hill takes her revenge by chopping up, hanging, drowning, and castrating her tormentors one by one. That's the film. I Spit in Your Grave. It's not really a film that I'm not really in the mind to watch very much. I've known about the film since 2010 when the remake actually came out, and I never really bothered watching them really, to be honest. I think about that time I wasn't really allowed to watch them. Well, I was sort of allowed very much if you're with an adult very much, but I never really bothered. I really wasn't that interested with them really. And after that, the remake spawned sequels. It did. I mean, the second one is like totally different character, different little bit of scenario. Third one, same character comes back, Jennifer Hill in from the remake, but actually it's like a vigilante movie or something like that. It doesn't live up to what I Spit in Your Grave means very much. It's a bit weird, a bit strange. The original 78 version, I know Roger Ebert sort of sneered and disgusted it. Thought it was disgusting really, and he thought, you know, give you a low rating on it, to be honest, and I can understand why. I think some stuff like this hasn't really got much appeal to me at all. I don't know what the idea was really with the director actually doing this movie. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was just to maybe do something like, maybe because of you can get away with a lot of stuff in film very much. You know, you can slap an X rating on a movie and it can get a lot of public appeal, apparently, maybe. I don't know if that might be the same thing with Deep Throat. I'm not entirely sure with that one. Maybe it's just trying to up the ante, I don't know, with cinema. I have really no idea. But I Spit in Your Grave, to be honest, it's not really just a film I know about it, but I've never seen it. To be honest, it's not really my type of thing, really. The sort of Femtel, you know, taking about the tech. I mean, there's some films that are similar, that are good, but in terms of like it's gruesome sort of full-on stuff very much, and obviously with a woman being involved, it's a totally different beast, and it's a bit not to my liking very much. That's not to say I'm not you know, just I don't know, very soft about it really, but soft about certain things I like. I mean, there are a few things. I mean, creature films are that's sort of higher up for the thing, really, to be honest with me. But stuff like revenge films, slasher films, that sort of thing, you know, revenge films, that sort of thing, it's not really there. It's been too much. It's been done too much to death, and there's different takes on it as well. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It just depends with I Spit in Your Grave. Maybe in the future I might change my opinion on it. But I think for now, it's just, I don't see myself watching it anytime soon, very much, because of its legacy and very much on what actually this content goes on for. Number 2, Zombie Flesh Eaters, 1979, Lucio Fulci, the unofficial sequel to George A. Romero's cult classic Dawn of the Dead. Fulci's Gorefest topped the British Video Nasty's list in 1983. Excessive violence and scenes of extreme carnage abound when the scientist Dr. David Menard disturbs the undead and sets them off on a ravenous rampage. Yes, zombie flesh eaters. Like it says, unofficial sequel Dawn of the Dead. Or it's known as Zombie 2 in some European countries, or maybe in Italy and parts of Europe as well, because Zombie was actually another name for Dawn of the Dead. So this is basically Zombie. It's basically, they call it Zombie 2, but in terms of like UK and maybe America as well, it's just called Zombie Flesh Eaters very much. The only sort of thing about this is like sort of most of the practical work with this film with Lucia Fulci very much. There's a scene in particular that was solved. I think that was one of the reasons why this really got banned, is because this woman, one of the undead sort of got this woman in a hut, and it drags her to this, towards this little splintered hole that they made, and right towards the cusp is a giant big splinter, and it pierces her eye, and you actually see it in full. Like the effects work on that is just really. It's very interesting. It's very in depth, if you know what I mean. And I think when people saw it in cinemas, they definitely cringe. Oh god. Yeah. There's nothing really to say about this actually. I know there was a sequel that came out in '88, believe it or not. Fulci did sort of start working on it, but he fell in for hepatitis in the end. Bruno Mattei sort of stepped in. If you want to check out Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 or Zombie 3, there's a review done by Valverde Broadcasting, which has Richard Jackson and a guy called Duncan Rule discussed that. So it's worth watching it, actually. It's quite hilarious as well. Valverde, great. I do recommend watching their content, really good stuff. If you want some good laughs and a bit of banter, some decent film knowledge as well, and a very good, decent review, and a lot of side-splitting comedy, definitely watch them. And the guest stars they bring on are really good as well. Like guest presenters are really good as well. But Zombie Flesh Eaters, nothing really to say about this one as well. I know it's because it's infamous and being top of the list, but nothing else really to say about that. I mean, people have reviewed it before, maybe, so it's a cult classic, of course, and obviously, it became top of the list, of course. I can understand why. I do like the cover, though, actually, if I can really get the disc out. Excuse me very much. I do like that cover actually. That's very good. That has that sort of like very reminiscent of I don't know, very reminiscent of Dawn of the Dead, very much in that sort of regard. Maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. But it's a really good cover actually. Sort of like a greenish, decayed hand sticking out. Perfect. Now I was thinking of Zombie Holocaust as well. Like where they have like three heads sticking on the ground, like decapitated heads. Very much interesting. Number 3, The Driller Killer. Directed by Abel Ferrara, 1979. This also stars Abel Ferrara as the main character. Banned in the UK until 1999, the title became a byword for the Video Nasty. With a gratuitously grisly picture on its cover, outraged the moral majority. The movie itself tells the story of Reno, a struggling artist who flips and goes on a drilling and killing spree on the streets of New York. That's about it, really. It's interesting because the director is actually playing the actual killer or the sort of main character in the movie. Interesting. He lives in it's in New York in against late 70s, so like new wave post punk type era, very much. And you can see a lot of band. You can see like a couple of punk bands that are sort of I guess sort of like a little maybe one of those like a nuisance for Renu to go insane, really, to be honest. If that's one thing. He shares a apartment with 2 women. His girlfriend, and also she has a girlfriend as well. Apparently, it's a weird sort of love triangle connection going on there. Obviously, because it's blood splatters very much. It's so familiar for that. Of course, with the cover, of course, of him drilling into a tramp, very much into the. Like he meets in the alleyway, it's and it's just through his head while he screams. It's like it is something. It is. I mean, obviously, I think all he does very much is just goes around, just drilling people like in a stabbing position. And obviously, all blood spurts are very much like little blood spurts, and that's pretty about it, really. To be honest, It's pacing a bit slow. It sort of gets into, because I've seen a few people reviewed and say the pacing's a bit, that's one of the main sort of issues with the movie. But other than that, it's sort of still classic very much. Abel Ferrara actually went on to do Bad Lieutenant from 1992, which starred Harvey Keitel. That's another lovely fact there for you. Number 4, The Evil Dead, Sam Raimi, 1982. Although it actually originally came out in 1981, but it came out in 1982 here in the UK. Originally banned despite cuts, Raimi's genre-defining masterpiece has assured its place in the annals of shock horror movie history. On vacation, 5 college students unwittingly resurrect the Evil Dead. Agonizingly, the kids are possessed by the demons, except for Ash, who alone must defend himself against eroding forces from beyond the grave. Now, Evil Dead's one of those interesting films I remember for quite a while actually. Where I live in my village here, I'm still in the village I live now. Depends if I'm probably move somewhere to my own place, maybe in a couple of years' time, I don't know. But here for now, I'm still in the village where I live, and we used to have a news agent. Well, we still have a news agent, but it's not the best anymore as it used to be. Called Premiere. Originally called Spar, changed to Premiere. They used to have a lot of DVDs they did back then. A lot of interesting titles, maybe a few weird titles, but interesting. And on the top of the shelf, there was a lot of copies of The Evil Dead, the original Anchor Bay uncut version. I think that was the first DVD version that actually came out when the ban was lifted, I think. So it'll be about 2001 this sort of released the DVD. And I was interested actually because you have the image of a woman being sort of actually caught by the throat and actually being dragged down to the ground by a lot of a decaying hand, and all these hands in the corners of the front cover, are decaying along and have very long fingernails. I thought it was quite interesting. I looked at that cover. You have a picture of Bruce Campbell in sort of like an action pose with a chainsaw covered in blood. That sort of heroic pose with the sort of like the damsel in distress behind screaming, and a picture of the decaying woman, which actually is Ash's girlfriend Linda very much. Well, I thought it looked interesting. I didn't actually look into it about. I think when we actually got the free cut, those free DVDs you get, The Sun and The News of the World. That this is going back years. How time flies very much. Like you don't get that stuff anymore. And they did there was like 7 or 8 horror classics that like 6 from The Sun, and you have News of the World on Sunday. They released them like on just a week. They did. You had Halloween, you had The Evil Dead, Children of the Corn, Scanners, Flowers in the Attic, Hellraiser, and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. But there's also a film called Don't Look in the Basement, I think it was called. I think that was another one that was there as well. Now I've reviewed those films before for Series 6, and I did consider doing The Evil Dead part of it. I actually did a review of the Evil Dead back in 2016, about 3 years ago actually, but that was on Facebook before I actually joined YouTube. So my opinion's it, and so I thought include it for Series 9 because it's related to the Video Nasties, these movies banned in the UK, so I thought, perfect. The Evil Dead, it's actually my favourite out of the franchise very much. I know people would often say, Evil Dead 2 is the best out of the Evil Dead trilogy. Some people think Army of Darkness is best anyway, or their personal favourite. That's okay. Like, if you like their movies, that's okay. But I always prefer the first version. I think, now this is not critiquing Bruce Campbell's acting afterwards. You think, he's sort of become Ash Williams. He's very embodied. He's sort of submerged in the character as the years go by. But I think his early performance, like the very first time we see Ash, he's very more subdued. Campbell's performance is subdued, and he's very innocent, shy. He's very out of his depth in this movie. Very much like they don't have a clue what to do, of course. And I do like that. I like to know. We're basically going into the unknown. Very much like, how do you escape this? 5 people trapped in a cabin with an evil demonic entity, very much that turns them into demons. How are you going to solve that out? How are you going to do that? And I think it's brilliant. Sam Raimi's direction is really good. You know, logo camera work, of course. You know, the plywood with the on the lake very much. That was sort of done as well. That was, you know, really good. I mean, his directions is interesting. The POV shot of the evil, very much go through the forest and all that sort of stuff, which is interesting. Like in this forest, with this cabin, you know, there's a demonic force that is sort of living in those trees, in those woods. You know, oh, interesting, good stuff. I know because of its the BBC, of course, had found, you know, tried to recut him. He was very violent, a lot of dismembering, of course. You know, got used to milk as well. Surprisingly, you know, when Linda sort of gets burned to resist, and she squirts out milk actually which is interesting. It's her blood. Okay. But also, I think what got the BBC was the stabbing of the Achilles, like in I forgot the name of the other character, but she gets stabbed with a pencil into her ankle. Well, Achilles very much into like the bone, like towards into the foot really, and good detail, very good practical effect on there. Just a pencil and just go like that, and it looks real. Believe me, jeez. I mean, you know, the Raimi and his production crew, it's a little small production crew, really done it really very well. I think, and that's one of the main reasons why it got banned very much. I think that's one. I mean, there's many other reasons, but it's that scene in particular. Sort of, because I remember watching a documentary called "Banned in the UK" was on Channel 4. It was like a multi-part series, like a 4-part series, back in the early 2000s, mid-early 2000s, and they mentioned The Evil Dead, and they mentioned, like, you know, with a scene like that, children will probably copy it in the school, maybe on Monday morning, you know, and they fear like children will grab a pencil and stab their friends in the ankle or the Achilles, and that won't do. Like, they're sort of, you know, very sort of trends, you know, like trying maybe copy this sort of thing, like what maybe what's happened in the world today still. You know, that's never gone away. That has very much, and obviously the rating system eventually came on, and that's about it really. I think, you know, because back then there was no certificate, so anybody any age can watch these movies. Shockingly, really, you know, you can probably take a child to the cinema and watch this and be freaked the hell out. Because I know somebody who was about, I try to think how old she was. I think she was about in her early teens, very much. And I think her siblings all forced her to watch The Evil Dead, and she just freaked the hell out. She's a bit traumatized by it. I mean, she's like a 40-year-old, like a woman in her 40s, very much now, very much. But just back then, she just, I can't bear myself to watch The Evil Dead, very much. For me, it's a fantastic film. A very short, low-budget film based on a short which was called Within the Woods from 1979. Again, directed by Sam Raimi, also starred Bruce Campbell as well. So basically, it's more like Within the Woods is a prototype Evil Dead. You know, it's basically Within the Woods but extended very much. And originally titled Book of the Dead, just called The Evil Dead very much. And I love the title, very good, brilliant film that is. And if you get the Anchor Bay version, it's the uncut version, of course. You know, like, it's fully uncut. This is uncut as well on this box set. So how nice. Try and get this box set very much. It's worth it. So that's Evil Dead. Number 5, The Last House on the Left, directed by Wes Craven, 1972. It's also produced by Sean S. Cohenham. This film in particular, I remember watching first. When I got this box set, I watched this first, and then The Evil Dead. The Last House on the Left is a bit strange, actually, to be honest. Some parts are very disjointed. I mean, originally, it's more, again, it's like it's similar to I Spit on Your Grave, but this is before Spit on Your Grave. This is from 1972, this is. A gang of youths just basically killed 2 girls who are going to a concert. Of course, this will take them into the woods first and actually just torment them, torture them very much, then actually kill them. And then you have the sort of afterwards you have the parents of one of the girls, one of the murder victims, basically take revenge. And I think like massive showdowns in the house involving a chainsaw, chainsaw launch, maybe like, a guy using a chair versus a guy against a chainsaw very much. The mother basically bites off someone's bell end very much. Like, I'll offer you a blowjob and all that sort of thing, and just rips it off. It's just, oh, you know, it's quite gruesome in a way, very much. And also that scene, like that dream sequence, when the murderers are on or one of them's underneath on a bed, very much like hospital bed, and you have the husband and wife in surgeon attire, and then you get a hammer and chisel. He puts a chisel on the sort of end of his main big teeth, on his front teeth, and then he cuts the hammer, and then he suddenly skips like that, like you don't really see it. It builds up tension. It does. You think, oh my god, is he actually going to do this? Is this? And it tends to be a dream. It is, but that's really interesting. Really good, masterful, you know, tension. Very good tense scene in that one. The problem is with Last House on the Left. I mean, as people probably say, it's a great, you know, people in such vein like Mark Kermode very much wanted to actually release this. He'd been begging the BFC to actually release this movie, surprisingly. But the thing that sort of doesn't click with me with this movie is this whole scenes with the police. Very much, it turns out to be like a comedy film and a very serious, you know, very tense thriller, if you know what I mean. And it doesn't marriage well, I don't think. It just really doesn't work well. I think that's why I feel a bit cold about it, really. That's all I could say about Last House on the Left. I mean, that's really about it. I consider it's the directorial debut of Wes Craven. It still gives it love, but I just find it a bit not one of the best, really. That's going to shock a lot of people. The comment section is going to go down below in the fair enough, but that's my opinion. Number 6. So this is the last one we're going to do. So this is Nightmares and a Damaged Brain. This is directed by Romano Scavoloni, Italian. It's from 1981. Its original UK distributor was sentenced to jail for releasing an unapproved version. This is arguably the nastiest of all the video nasties. It tells the tale of a mental patient who, tormented by flashbacks of an axe murderer and pumped up by tourist sex shows, embarks on a killing frenzy. And the other bits about it was he escapes from New York. He's from a mental institution in New York. And he goes to find his wife and child in Florida to kill them. That's about it, really. And to be honest, nothing else to say about Nightmares and a Damaged Brain. It also has another name called Nightmare. But that's about it. The other interesting thing about this movie was it was heavily found on the black market, very much. You know, they sold it for big money, you know, like £100 just for this movie. You know, just to get like an unclassified tape of this film back in the 80s. Very much, it was heavily booming there. So if you know, say, I've actually, hey buddy, I've got this movie, £100 first, give it here, all this sort of stuff. You know, that movie in particular, Nightmares and a Damaged Brain, was selling for £100 a tape on the black market. You know, keeping it secret from all the police and everything else who probably raided the whole stores to demolish them, you know, and get rid of them, burn them in cigarettes, I don't know. But quite a few people basically just sold them for large amounts of sums of money, really. And surprisingly, it's sort of getting its low cult following. That little fact is sort of a reason why it's still a bit of a cult thing, really, much with that one. But to be honest, it's just again, it's just like a real revenge thing of, you know, mental patient escapes from mental institution, goes on a killing spree. We've seen it many times. You know, to be honest, it's just there for a reason. But I think it's I think it's a bit more terrible in a more way. But that's what I could say about Nightmares and a Damaged Brain from 1981. Anyway, thanks for watching Series 9. This has been episodes 1 to 6. Thank you for watching. I'll see you for part 2, 7 to 12, Series 9. Thank you, and see you for the next video.